23rd of September, 2023, my father received an email from my school. It said my family and I were invited to the school awards dinner. He looked at the email, then at me. He was a tad bit confused and maybe even a little bit concerned. We thought the email wasn't meant for me. So naturally, he asked me to check in with the school. And I did. I sent the most awkward email ever. Hi, just curious, was this email actually meant for me? It'd be great if you could check and let me know as soon as possible. Kind regards, Tanishka. A few days later, I got an email back. Hi, Tanishka. That was indeed meant for you. Congratulations, and I'll see you there. And all of a sudden, I found myself up on stage, accepting an award for what they called being an outstanding senior student in speech and ed public speaking. The trophy's name was Korero Maia, which means speak fearlessly in Māori, which was quite ironic because what no one saw that night, what no one ever sees, is how it all began. They didn't see the fear the first time I spoke, and they certainly didn't hear the little voice inside my head that was saying, "Don't mess this up, everyone's watching." And I wasn't born a courageous advocate or an amazing public speaker. I was just a girl with a voice, and I was terrified to use it. But I did. Not because I was confident, but because I was passionate. And once I did, I never stopped speaking. Because the first time I spoke, it sparked something within me. A shift, a realization that fear doesn't mean that you're not doing something right, but rather you are doing something right. But I get it. It's terrifying to speak up, to push the boundaries of society and break the silence that we have placed for ourselves. So how do you overcome it? Let me tell you what I've learned through my experience. First of all, let's redefine fear. Understand it's not a weakness, but a signal that what you're about to do matters. Use it as your fire. Let it sharpen your resolve and harden your words. Surround yourself with like-minded people. People who don't just accept society as it is. People who actively push against the status quo. And people who will remind you that your voice has power even when the world tries to convince you otherwise. Start off small, in conversations, classrooms, at the dinner table. Every whisper of courage builds the roar of a movement. Expect resistance. Understand that the louder your voice is, the more pushback you'll face. Remember your why. Think of the issues that stir something deep within your soul and let them drown out your doubt. And finally, practice the art of resilience. Understand that when you fail, because you will, we all do at one point, it's not the end. It's never the end. Remember that change isn't a gift granted by those in power. Change is a fight. It's a voice, a risk, and I took that risk. My first speech, it wasn't about something world-changing. It wasn't about politics or power or justice. It was, are evergreen trees better than deciduous trees? Now, me, being me, I stuck to my morals. I got up on stage and I spoke firmly, proudly, and passionately. I said, neither is better. In this world, to have beauty, we need balance. Now, my year 6 class, they laughed at me. They were like, she doesn't even know the topic. No way she's going to win this competition. But I kept speaking and I didn't let their words get to me. And when I sat down, I felt good about myself. And then the judge stood up and he said, "Congratulations, Tanishka, you've won." And that's where it all began for me. From trees to the truth. Because if I believe in something, and I know that it's right, I'm not afraid to say it. Soon I found myself speaking in assemblies about Māori rights in New Zealand, about what it felt like to be an immigrant growing up caught between cultures. Then the topics got harder and heavier. I was talking about feminism, sexism, racism. I was talking about climate change, men's mental health, women's rights. I talked about the pain and emotions I saw in the eyes of the refugee children at the centre where I worked at, or the emotions in the face of the elders at the old age home where I volunteered at. And I pushed myself beyond classrooms, beyond school, beyond comfort. And not just because I wanted to, but because I had to, in order to make a change for the world. And in 2024, I received an invite to speak in Parliament. And so I did. I went, I stood, and I spoke about something I was passionate about: hostile architecture. You know, those cold metal spikes on benches and barriers under bridges that are designed to punish the vulnerable for simply existing? Yeah. So me and my team wrote a bill, we fought, we debated, and we passed it. And that moment changed something in me, not just as the chamber leader of the Government of Legislative Council 2024, but as an advocate. It showed me what change the world can go through if young voices aren't just heard, but taken seriously. Now, I want every person in this room to know this. Your voice is not too small, and your age is not a limitation. And your fear, that just means that you care. We live in a world that desperately needs brave voices, not the loud ones, not the perfect ones, just the authentic ones. Not the ones that stay silent, because silence allows injustice to breathe. Silence is the permission society gives itself to stay the same. So speak, even when it gets a little hard, even when you feel terrified, even when the world tells you, sit down. And so I took my own words and I began speaking. I was writing, using social media, using Parliament, TEDx, leadership roles, all the opportunities I had to advocate, educate, and amplify not just stories that I had lived, but stories that I had seen. Because the world doesn't need more silence, it needs you. Your truth, your stories, your voices. Now, if you're watching me and thinking, but what difference can I make? I'm just one person, one voice. Remember this, so was I. But I chose to speak up. And for me, that changed everything. Thank you.